So you probably think that scaling a business involves spending thousands of dollars on paid ads, building a huge sales team, and booking a million sales calls. But in 2025, that's no longer necessary, because the funnel that I'm about to break down is taking those traditional scaling strategies and flipping everything on its head. So in this video, we're going to cover the 5 core principles of Tom Noske's educator funnel that he used to scale to over 100K per month without sales calls, setters, closers, or cold outreach. So this video will help anyone who's sick of hard selling, who has zero interest in building bloated sales teams, and even if you are above 100K per month, there is so much in Tom Noske's funnel that you can steal in order to minimize your CAC and maximize the leverage of your personal brand. But before we get into it, if you do find these videos helpful, please subscribe to the channel and comment below to let me know who I should look at next. And if you are a coach or creator who's looking to scale your business with funnels exactly like this one, then my links will be in the description. Okay, so we're going to be breaking down exactly how Tom Noske made $1.2 million with this funnel. Now, he didn't use any sales calls, he didn't have a business development team or a sales team, and he didn't do any outreach, whether that was cold outreach or warm outreach to his own followers. Now, before we dig into Tom's actual funnel, one of the most important things that we need to understand is the difference between a typical funnel and what we call an educator funnel. So a typical funnel consists of organic content that provides little value. You end up posting as much as humanly possible, often stuck on what we call a content treadmill. That organic content only builds a small amount of trust, and there's zero differentiation between you and anyone else in your niche that offers coaching, consulting, courses, anything like that. So normally the people that are using this typical funnel rely on their organic content to do all of the work for them. And so they end up just linking a calendar in their link in bio with no tracking, no optimization, and little qualification of any leads that are coming through. And then finally they end up with those people on a sales call, hard selling those people, whether it's them or the closer, and they keep hearing things like, I need to think about it, I'm busy right now, or any other objection that they didn't pre-handle because of the detrimental simplicity of this funnel. Now, I'm not against using simple funnels, but when things are so rudimentary like this, you end up having to hard sell all the time with really low show rates, really low close rates, and ultimately lower revenue than you could otherwise be getting, and a massive bag of missed opportunity. Now, the educator funnel is a type of funnel that a lot of the biggest coaching businesses right now are leveraging in order to overcome those problems that I just described. So it's very similar, but it's different in very unique ways. So first of all, with the organic content, people divide their content into top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. And I'll explain how that works in Tom's case in a second. But the reason that we do this is that it attracts the right people and it builds authority and trust in the market. Secondly, those people are going to progress to educator mechanisms. The purpose of these mechanisms is to build interest in your offer and do the selling for you. The idea here is that you're selling in your marketing, not on the sales call. Now, in Tom's case, he doesn't leverage paid acquisition, but in many other coaching businesses, including some of my clients' businesses, we leverage paid acquisition. So this involves leveraging capital to consistently and predictably scale. This replicates the organic sales process at an extreme rate. So as soon as someone is hit with a paid ad on Meta, on TikTok, on Google, we end up bombarding them with as much content as possible through paid and organic means, so that by the time they show up to that sales call, they're ready to buy, they know, like, and trust you, and they've had all of their objections pre-handled. Then finally, once people have passed through the educator mechanisms, they end up in conversion mechanisms. So this might be a pre-sale system and the sales call itself. It might be a webinar, it might be a course sales page. Now, on these conversion mechanisms, our goal here is to minimize friction, overcome objections, and turn the interest in our offer or in our product into action. In other words, sales. So starting at the top of Tom's funnel, we're looking at mainly his Instagram, which has 423,000 followers, and his YouTube, which has about 40k subscribers. But before we dive into that, it's important to speak about the first core principle of Tom Noske's funnel, and that is authenticity. Now, I've put authenticity in quotation marks because that's not necessarily what we're looking at here. What we're actually looking at here is a marketing tactic. And before people read into that, I'm not accusing Tom of doing anything nefarious. This is just the way that the game works, is that every single person that's selling info to some extent has to come across as authentic. So for the purposes of people watching this, how do we actually do that? Now, the idea of conveying yourself as authentic is through the aligned self. So a combination of the things you're aware of, your own intuition, and the way that you're able to communicate those two things through the medium or the channel that you're using. So in Tom's case, he's leveraging all three of these things in order to build a strong personal brand. Now, to make this more simple to understand so that we can actually do that ourselves, Alex Hormozi defines authenticity as a fancy word for alignment of three different things: your thoughts, your words, and your actions. And obviously he's restated that here in the tweet too. So what we need to be doing in our content is really leveraging all three of those things through storytelling, through emotion, and through personal struggle. So a lot of the time people are simply labeled as authentic because they speak about something difficult that happened to them in the past. And when you do speak about that one thing, that allows you to actually tick off all three boxes simultaneously. And we see that with Tom's most popular video, which involves his story and an element of motivation to encourage people to do the same. Now, when you do arrive at the top of Tom's funnel, you end up consuming multiple pieces of content at once, and if not, you're at least going to be retargeted by the algorithm naturally or organically. So typically the way that you end up consuming his content would be starting with these more viral posts that I would consider more top of funnel, that lean more towards entertainment, motivation, and storytelling, and less about value or action. As you consume more of these posts, you start to shift your identity from just being slightly aware of him to perhaps being interested in the things that he's preaching. And the likelihood is the more you consume of that, the more of those beliefs that you take on for yourself. Then by the time you get hit with a valuable video, you stop and listen to it. So when he starts talking about very actionable advice, so things like how do you manage your mailing list, you stick around and listen to that. And again, that doubles down your existing beliefs. Then finally, once you spend enough time in this funnel, you're going to end up at the action step, where Tom will hit you with basically what I would consider a VSL, but in reel format rather than your typical horizontal VSL that's 12 minutes long. Then we can see Tom finally makes the ask in his content, getting you to comment a word and then enter a ManyChat flow. So this brings us on to the second core principle of Tom's funnel, which is prospect belief shifting. The idea behind this is that you need to destroy existing beliefs that your prospects have in their mind, whether that's from preconceived notions or genuine content that they've consumed from your competitors or from other people in the market. Now, what you need to do is indoctrinate them to your sense of thinking. So we can do that by highlighting things like missed opportunities, things that they're hesitant on, things that bring them anxiety, self-doubt, make them scared, or reluctant to take action. And ultimately, at the center of all of this is the fear of failure. So highlighting the things that will lead to them failing. So as I said, we need to be destroying preconceived notions, attacking alternatives. So alternative solutions to the coaching that you offer or the course that you offer, and present a new solution. So the way that you frame your service, your coaching, your course has to be new. It can't just be better. It can't just be slightly different. It has to be something that they've never heard of before. It has to be a new system, something completely unique that excites them and eliminates those existing beliefs and objections. And so as we return to Tom's funnel, looking at his YouTube, this is exactly what he's doing. You can see initially he's dragging people into that funnel with some more top of funnel content, so more entertainment based or more clickbait. But then when it comes to his educator mechanisms or his sales assets or his generally valuable videos, if you actually watch these videos, you'll see how often he actually attacks the existing beliefs of the people watching it. So he will attack common ideas like more followers equals more money, or he might attack the idea that you need to be booking sales calls or running full webinar funnels in order to make money. And by attacking those existing beliefs and offering a new solution, which is of course his personal branding info offer, he can very easily win people over to his side. Then once you are won over, you're going to end up clicking the links in his bio, and I'll show you exactly where those links go. But before I do get into the educator and conversion mechanisms further down Tom's funnel, it's important to bring up the third core principle that he's leveraging, and that is interweaving. This idea that you need to interweave content across different platforms, so not just Instagram, but YouTube, places like X, TikTok, and paid ads can also be leveraged in order to nurture and educate your audience. So this is the core difference between a system that is centralized in one position, where you have to establish numerous touch points across the same platform, which leads to a much longer deal cycle and therefore a slower rate of scaling, with a more decentralized or even distributed form of content. You're able to move people throughout your funnel at an accelerated rate, and therefore you end up creating customers from strangers at that accelerated rate. So interweaving works because it leverages the mere exposure effect. This idea in propaganda that as you're exposed more and more to Tom Noske, you're going to end up liking him more, you will subconsciously trust him more, and you will adopt his belief systems. And as I just mentioned, you can leverage paid opportunities through this interweaving system so that you can nurture people by force. They don't have to go looking for your content organically. You can actually chuck ads through retargeting systems in front of these people so that you can get them to that conversion stage much quicker. And in fact, that's exactly what we're doing with one of our clients, Peter, who understood that the difference between running a 7-figure and an 8-figure business is the level of education that you can provide to people in the middle of your funnel before they end up on that sales call. So Tom's ManyChat flows are very, very simple. The main idea with this is that you're simply progressing very quickly through the funnel, where he gives you a link to get you to sign up to the waitlist for his high ticket offer, which is obviously time to build. Now, when you do join the waitlist, or you sign up for one of his lead magnets, which is one of those links from his YouTube videos, what actually happens? Well, you end up in the core educator mechanism of his funnel, which is his mailing list. Now, the mailing list will cover all of the core principles that we've already discussed. So your authenticity, your prospect belief shifting, and your interweaving. And this is the main system that Tom is using in order to automate his sales process, which means that this is why Tom doesn't have to take any sales calls and he doesn't need a business development or a sales team, because his mailing list will nurture or educate that audience for him. And of course, the large majority of traffic, if not all of it, will eventually be funneled to his main high ticket offer, which is time to build. However, he does have other offers, and that leads us to our next core principle that Tom is leveraging. This is something that we call the Ascension ladder. This is the idea that as people progress in their journey, whether it's through their personal brand or whatever you might be selling, there are different points at which you can sell to them. So you might be able to sell to them here at the very start. You can sell to them here as they've got to maybe 10k a month, and you can sell to them here once they hit maybe 30k per month. And at each stage, you'll be able to charge more for that and generate more revenue for your business. Now, typically what I would recommend is you start in the middle with a high ticket program. You create an Ascension program later on for the people that have already finished your high ticket program and have got results in it, and you create a lower ticket offer, which could be a paid community or paid course. And the reason that we do this is that allows you to capture all levels of the market, whether it's someone super advanced who has a lot more money or someone who's a complete beginner. Because of course, only a tiny percentage of your audience naturally will buy your high ticket offer. 99% of people won't be qualified for it. And this is the exact principle that we're also leveraging for our clients in their paid communities. So now that we understand the Ascension ladder, let's look at Tom's. Tom has very low ticket digital products in his LUTs and his typewriter effects, etc., which once you do buy them, put you onto that mailing list and indicate that in the future you may be qualified for that high ticket offer. He also has a $500 video creation course. I've broken down in several other videos exactly how I would go about designing a high converting landing page, but to refresh your memory a bit, we've got a benefits driven headline, we've got our sub headline, we've got a clear CTA, and we've got the VSL. Here, Tom is selling people on the missed opportunities that they're suffering from by not being involved with videos or building that personal brand. And here's something really interesting is that, of course, for those of you that are familiar, Tom is anchoring people with a higher price. And so to increase the sales of his $499 product, he's put a huge number next to it that I highly doubt anyone buys, if ever. But the reason that this works is that as soon as we see that larger number, we feel much more inclined to pay the smaller amount, because by comparison, our brain looks at that smaller number and thinks, wow, that is actually quite cheap. And the best thing about anchoring is that it works even if the person that you're using it against knows what anchoring is. And finally, to make it a complete no-brainer offer, he's added his guarantee. And similarly with the very low ticket products, this lower ticket course will also keep you in that nurture system forever. So that one day, once you've found results with that course, you will be qualified and keen to actually dive into the high ticket offer. And so now we come to our fifth and final core principle that we're diving into in this video and in Tom's funnel, and that is a true understanding of biopsychology. Now, the idea behind biopsychology is to bring people initially out of their comfort zone and the status quo, take them into the fear zone, so highlighting what they might be missing out on or what might happen if they don't take action, take them into that learning zone, which is where the things like their educator mechanisms are most effective. And finally, into that growth zone, you create enough pain and desire within them so that they get to the point where they know that they have to grow quickly. And that is when they take action. So there are many tactics that you can use to leverage biopsychology. The main ones that I always talk about are scarcity, so letting people know that there's only a limited amount of spots in your program. Urgency, so giving people a countdown before that program closes or that price point is no longer available. And bonuses that won't be given in the future. Now, some other things that people tend to neglect or not think about is the idea of reciprocity. So being able to give value up front, which is exactly what Tom does with his educator mechanisms, has allowed him to make sales without sales calls. And his branding also supplements that system because it means that people trust him simply because his sales pages look premium. And leveraging biopsychology has also worked for our clients as well, because for Remy, for example, we're helping him get the best results possible for not only his own funnel, but also all of his clients' funnels within his agency. When it comes to Yusuf, we helped him collect 15k cash in the first 30 days. And when it comes to Lewis, we managed to build him a 6-figure funnel with a 5-figure average deal size. And on top of that, this is a great example of how building a proper funnel and branding can affect other areas of your business, because we can see here a client was actually really happy with the way that an interviewee responded to the way that his business was branded. And so you can imagine not only the power of branding when it comes to signing prospects, but also the power of branding in your funnel when it comes to hiring people. And most importantly, hiring the best people. So to dig into the absolute mammoth sales page that Tom has, again, I've broken this down in other videos, the exact strategies that I would use when designing a landing page. So this will be a quick run through of exactly what makes Tom's unique and the most powerful things that he's doing. So something important that people often forget is that in your above the fold section, so before people scroll, you have all of the necessary information in that section. Secondly, as always, you should be making a VSL, and if you're selling more B2C or something like content or branding, I recommend making that extremely high production value. In contrast to that, if you're selling B2B and you don't sell anything related to branding, then I would recommend doing the exact opposite. Of course, he leverages social proof as much as possible. He speaks about his own personal story, again tying into that authenticity. He introduces his unique mechanism, which I've spoken about in other videos. He shifts prospects' beliefs again with the old way and the new way being, of course, his solution. More social proof, qualification, which is very important because the people that are qualified are going to feel even more inclined to actually buy this product. Of course, with an info product like this, it's important that you actually talk about exactly what's included at each stage to really stack the value subtly. And then finally, as we mentioned with biopsychology, Tom highlights the scarcity of this product. You're going to have to wait over 2 months in order to get into the next one. And you best believe when the doors do open for those new enrollments, that Tom is going to have a huge wave of high ticket clients coming through. So this is almost the Birkin bag effect, where it's so exclusive that people will pay almost anything to get in. And it puts the customers in a position where they feel like they're trying to sell themselves on that call or in that application rather than the other way around. Hi everyone, this is Editor Dom here. Unfortunately, I completely forgot to record an outro, so this is going to be the outro now. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, I put a lot of effort into it, so I'd really appreciate a subscribe, like, comment down below what you thought of the video. And if you are a coach, creator, consultant, infopreneur, and you want to work together, then my links are in the description. Alright, cheers, bye.